let me just introduce myself because I'm not sure that all of you know me that well. I bet you do, but maybe not. We'll see. So my name is June. I work as a holistic health coach, and I don't only work as that. I fucking live and breathe that. So basically what I do, just today I had a session with my one-on-one client from the Philippines. I have one-on-one mentorship programs where I'm guiding people to overcome depression and anxiety. And how? I do that by teaching them how they can navigate their emotional landscapes. Basically, we work with the feelings, we work how we can actually observe feelings and how we can release them instead of holding on to them, right? So I do that with breathing techniques, I do that with yogic and tantric traditions, I do that with communication techniques, I do that with oh my God, so many beautiful things. Yeah, that's basically what I do. Currently, I run a 3-month program, which I have 3 participants in. We are in week 8 out of 12, and I'm helping them transform from the stage they were in 2 months ago, which wasn't that great for most of them, into places, emotional places, where they feel way more balanced, where they feel way more stable, way more happy, actually. Yeah. So this about me. What else? I grew up in Switzerland. Now I live on beautiful Bali, creating my dream life day by day, working hard on that. It always seems so beautiful from the outside, but let me tell you, it is not that easy always. Anyway, so that was it about me. I see 8 eyes tuned in already. Give some comments, beautiful people that are joining in right now. Because from experience, I can say that now is the time where you are actually focusing on interacting. Once we get into the storytelling, once Deva sits here next to me and starts talking about the story, it usually gets really captivating and so interesting that your fingers are not going to be on the keyboard anymore. They are not. They are not. Maybe they are. Mine are, to answer your questions and to interact with you. So, yeah, for those 8 people that are in right now, well done, you're on time. So to reward you, we are going to get started by introducing Deva. And before I'm going to call her in, I just want you to know why I decided to do this interview for you today. So I met Deva about 3 years ago, pretty much on that exact month, I believe. And what Deva did for me is she made Yogic and Tantric Healing accessible for me. And by that I mean, before I got in touch with yoga, I was practicing it for a while. And also Tantra was something that I heard of, or like Tantric Healing and all that stuff, but I just didn't really get it. I couldn't really put it in a shape for myself. And so when I met Deva and I participated in her yoga classes, also in her ecstatic dance classes that she was hosting back then, it just made it so much more understandable for me. And she puts that stuff in such a simple and understanding way that I was just like, oh yeah, it just clicked. And ever since I've been practicing yoga and I've been diving deeper into tantric teachings and tantric healing as well. So, and because of that, because she is such a special person that initiated such a big spark in my life to go on a journey and to really integrate and practice these beautiful things that are a huge part of those practices that have actually brought me here today, that have brought me in this shape where I'm at today, doing the work I'm doing, holding space for people, guiding, facilitating change for myself and change for other people as well. So, do you want to join us?
Sure.
Sure, she says. Give some hearts right now. Pop them in.
Give me the hearts!
Welcome. Hi. So we've been hanging all afternoon, more or less. Mm-hmm. Well, not full on, but you came back today. This is, by the way, her place where we're hanging out. So if you really like the scene, if you like these chairs, then she's living here. Yeah, and I have been for the past 2 nights because I took care of your puppy and your catty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were on a little trip. you went to Nusa Lembongan to host an ecstatic dance
Mhm.
party. Nice. So let me just grab my notebook because today earlier we were sitting in the room and we just had a little overview on how we want to create this session together, right? Because my brain is always so full with other things, I need to write stuff down to remember. Yeah. So first of all, I just told you a little bit about how I met Deva and what happened since I met you and like what kind of change that you facilitated in my life. So now for me, that was basically the spark and a really big part of my beginning of my transformation journey. And now I want to ask you, before you tell people what it is that you do today and how you hold space and all of that beautiful stuff, what was your beginning of or where do you identify your start of your journey into yogic and tantric healing?
Okay, so the first question I need to ask is, when I speak, do I look at you or the camera?
What do you want? Shall she look at you? I think she shall look at you because I already know the story or most of the story. So let's tell it to
I'll tell you guys.
10 people are here. Violetta joined in.
Hi Violetta. Hi everybody. So, where did my journey begin? Well, let's just say that it is and has been an ongoing journey of moving from darkness into light. And my first encounter with yoga was when I was 19 years old. And I was living in small town Scotland and there was no yoga. And this is 28 years ago, 27 years ago. This is a long time ago now. And there was no yoga classes in the place that I was in. And so I experienced a little bit of yoga and then it was always in my heart, you know, and it ignited something in me. I was feeling very lost in it. It really gave me a sense of magic and spirituality about life. I was very excited by the idea of levitating and attaining higher states of consciousness. I just had no idea how to do that without using drugs. So I spent a long... Can I swear?
Can she swear? Yeah. Yes, you can fucking swear.
I spent a long fucking time doing drugs and really seeking something other than this, what I would have called mundane existence. I was really disappointed, disheartened, and feeling very, at that stage in my existence, feeling very abused by life. And I was really looking for a way out. And at this time, between the ages of 19 and 25, we're talking this period of my life was like, I would say, a period where I was in conscious darkness. It was a case of I chose to enter the darkness. And I had an experience when I was 21 years old where my partner at that time committed suicide, my boyfriend at that time. And I just had an abortion. So I was very confused and really lost. And that spiraled me into a deep drug-fueled existence, like drug addiction, drug and alcohol addiction. And going through that time, I always felt there's much more. I was really on one hand trying to kill myself. And on the other hand, seeking something other than what I saw, looking for the magic of life, really desperate to find that magic. Because for me, unless there was that magic, life really didn't feel like it was worth living. And that was really where I found myself. And somehow I got on to a yoga teacher who was teaching at a gym. I was going to gym yoga a few years later. And I found this teacher who had a small yoga shala, And when I heard the words yogashala, I was like, oh my God, that's real yoga. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not gym yoga. It's like yogashala. It's, Indian, it's Sanskrit words, Not that I really knew what that was then, but I knew it was special and magic.
What is Sanskrit?
Sanskrit is an ancient Indian language. When you hear yoga, the word yoga is Sanskrit. So it's one of the oldest languages. It's a very magical language. It contains a magical frequency. So that's why a lot of chanting, if you ever hear yoga chanting, it's in Sanskrit. And it's one of the oldest languages, and it's a really great language to use for using chanting mantras.
Okay. Thank you.
So when you hear the word yoga is a Sanskrit word. It's an ancient word, and all the yoga poses, when they're not said in your native tongue, will be said in Sanskrit. And hopefully, if you ever do a teacher training, they will teach you the Sanskrit terms for your yoga, because it contains the essence of the word. It contains the essence of the thing you're describing. It contains the vibration and resonance of the thing you're describing. So it's worth looking into if you're interested in languages. And that's really, really interesting and exciting. It's nerdy, yoga nerdy, and super exciting. Like really, it's like, oh, get me into that. But again, magical language.
So you went to that yogashala, which was the first time.
Yes, and that was when there was only 12 people could fit in the space, and I ended up doing a teacher training. And at that time, just prior to actually going on the apprenticeship, yoga apprenticeship, or the teacher training as it's known now, I, in my drug-fueled haze, which included heroin and crack and all the fucking bad drugs, do you know what I mean? I'm not talking like I took some speed at the weekend. It was like intense, like let me die now drugs. I found DMT. And some of you may know, but some of you may not, so I'll explain what DMT is. DMT is the chemical extract of ayahuasca. DMT is a visionary substance. It's not a hallucinogenic. LSD would be considered a hallucinogenic. DMT would be considered a visionary substance, or like magic mushrooms or something like that. So, and ayahuasca. So I experienced DMT, and when I took the DMT, I could say it kind of saved my life. I was in an incredibly dark place. I was using really dark drugs, like heroin, like I said. I was going down and down and down. I was spiraling down. And I encountered this DMT. And it saved me in the way that it illuminated my consciousness. And before I took the DMT, I made a wish. I spun around in a circle. I didn't know what I was doing. I was setting intention. I had no idea what intention was. I spun around in a circle and I said, I wish I could dance. I wish I could dance. I wish I could dance. And then I smoked the DMT and I opened up to spirit, and the spirit of ecstatic dance and shamanic trance dance poured into my body. And from that moment on, I became a fucking amazing dancer. What can I say?
She is. Fucking amazing. Wow. So let me just sum up for them.
Yes.
And you say if I get that wrong. So I understand right that she's coming from a place where her ex-boyfriend killed himself. And that triggered a strong phase of really dark times with a lot of heavy drugs. So for those of you who can relate to that, look at what can happen. And we're gonna talk about how that shift happened in a moment. But you come from that really, really, really dark place. And like when I tell people about the places where I come from, it's also dark. But like when I attempt to do a comparison, I've never used drugs. Like I got drunk a lot, and that was kind of like an avoidant behavior for me to look inwards. Or I played video games for 8 to 10 hours a day when I was not in school, so majorly addicted to that. So I had addictions as well, but I have nothing compared to that in my personal story. And that's why it's so beautiful for me to like have you here and to be like, shit, you come from that shithole, right? And then you experienced yoga for the first time in the yogashala, and it seemed to have hooked quite fast. And then you did the yoga teacher training. The yoga teacher training is basically an intense course where you become a yoga teacher. How long was your teacher training?
My teacher training, I lived in the yoga school. My teacher training was 18 months. It wasn't a 200 hour. It was every day for a year and a half. It was my life. Yeah.
Wow.
And that is also how I rehab myself from drugs and alcohol addiction.
Wow. I didn't know that. So basically, most yoga teacher trainings are either 200 hours or 500 hours, or there are 300 hours, but like different ones. And those you can do in 1 or 2 or 3 months usually. But you're saying you did an 18-month.
18 months. I lived in the shala.
So that's 1.5 years of teacher training.
Yeah, it's a more traditional way of doing a teacher training.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You live with your teacher and you study with them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sounds so intense.
It's what I needed.
So these 18 months, you went into that teacher training, feeling in your body. How did you feel in your body? Did you discover DMT right before the teacher training or during the teacher training?
Let's call it the summer of love. When I discovered, I was in London, in the drug den, discovered the DMT, gave me visions. I started channeling light code language, which we can talk about. The ecstatic dance energy poured into my body. My energy was freed, and I also saw my life. I saw what I was doing wrong. I saw where I was going wrong. I saw what I needed to do, and I started to walk away from this negative forces that had been governing my life, and I started to step towards the light and step into that space of going to that yoga shala, and then I started the teacher training. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk about what happened in between.
Yes, please.
It's really important, and for me, this message is a really important part of the message that I have to share. And I really believe in a higher power. I really believe that there are forces, unseen forces, that guide us and support us. And you might call it God, you might call it universal energy, you might call it angels, you might call it your spirit guides. It doesn't matter. I feel that a connection to something greater is really a big part of healing and a big part of remembering who we are. And going back to my experience of how I started to move out of my very, very dark period of my life into the light, I had the awakening on the DMT, and I went into the teacher training, but there was a period in between that. My consciousness became illuminated, but my personality and my lifestyle and my physical body had to catch up. So there was a period of time where I was falling, back a few months of trying. So what I'd like to share is that in that few months, I found myself, I was homeless quite a lot. I was living in really dodgy places with cockroaches crawling on the wall in London. It wasn't pretty at all. It was really like the dregs. I was lucky to have a place like that to live in, and they were always impermanent. I was always afraid that I was going to be, living on the street. And then there was one time I was in this cockroach-ridden place, and I went for a shower, and I stood in the shower, and I felt the energy of yoga pour into my body. And I wasn't on drugs. And I felt my whole body align. And I knew in that moment that yoga would be my life. And that epiphany moment drove me further towards the light. So there was there's been key times in my life where I really felt that spirit intervened, that I was guided, that I was saved, just by the scruff of the neck, by spirit. Whoa, before you go. And it was like, that was one of those moments. And I really love to share that with you, I love to share that.
That happened in one of the dirtiest showers in London.
The shower wasn't that dirty, but the place was. I like the drama, but the place was definitely one of the. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a hellhole. But at that time, I was just grateful to have a bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what, and there's more, but that's what we're talking now.
Beautiful. Before we continue, and I ask you another question, I just want to see real quick that we have 10 people that are watching us. If the sound is good and if the content is good as well, just put like a heart in the comments. I do that a lot in between because I really want to know if the connection is functioning, if we're really live, if everybody can hear us, because sometimes the Wi-Fi here in Bali pops out and in and out, right? So just do that. Just give us a sign in the comments so we know that we're connected. Because sometimes it's a bit weird when we're like talking into a camera, and this is just different because when we record videos, it's like we're talking into the future people that are watching these videos. But here it's really that you are sitting now there and you are watching us, right? And we are here with you. So that is really important for me that we know that we're in a dialogue, kind of. That's where you have the comments for. So Mac, you send up 3 hearts. Thank you. You can hear us. Jade, you can hear us. Jake and hey guys, the sound and video quality are great.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you. Nadira, you joined in as well. Oh, hey Nadira, welcome. Nadira is involved in Serenity.
I know Nadira.
You know Nadira?
Hi Nadira.
Yeah, I invited her as well. And Laura, Jade, it seems that you're the sister or related to Jess, and I've known Jess because she's been the ex-girlfriend of my ex-boyfriend's brother. There we go. Beautiful how these connections stay. Okay, so it seems that everything is great. So now we're at this place where you described that the spirit of yoga found you at some point.
Yes.
And you went through this whole shift inside of your yoga teacher training. So you rehabilitated from your drug addiction.
Yes, I did. Yes, I know.
So fucking cool.
I became addicted to yoga.
So you basically replaced the addiction of yoga with the addiction to drugs with the addiction to yoga.
I became addicted. I became addicted to connecting with myself. I became addicted to getting high on my own supply. I know. So
these words that she's just saying right now, she says, I got addicted, or I still am addicted. I know she is, same as me, to getting high on my own supply, to getting high on filling your own cup of love, abundance, however you want to call your cups. And I want to give you some tools later on today that she and I are using to actually fill our cups. But before that, there's another part of the story that we talked about today. Do you want to share that?
Okay, which part is it?
So it's basically the part that you told me one day when you were in Cape Town. Let's go there. That's the juicy part.
Okay, not everyone knows this yet.
Not everyone knows this. So the story that she's about to tell is, today I asked her around lunchtime, there's one thing that she told me a while ago, and I find it such a beautiful story. And it is about how and when she participated in her first Tantra retreat or Tantric retreat.
Yes.
So, you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready. I can
Good.
for that. Okay, thank you. So I, after many years of practicing yoga and ecstatic dance and really illuminating my life, ongoing commitment to this path, and, I then became very intrigued by Tantra. And at that time, I was with my partner and he was into Tantra and I wanted to do it with him. And so, and just for those of you who may not know what Tantra is, there are many branches of Tantra, and there is traditional Tantra, and then there's more Neo Tantra. And the Tantric healing that I'm talking about at this point is really revolving around liberating our sexual energy. Okay, so that is, I would say, the Tantric healing that I'm referring to now is around sexual energy. And I was really curious about raising my vibration through using my sexual energy. I was really curious about expanding my knowledge and experience of how to use my sexual energy. I had a real feeling, as I always had with yoga and everything else, there's more to this than we're taught. And so there was an incredibly well-known tantric teacher coming to Cape Town, and I was living in Cape Town, and this is 5 years ago now, and everyone was raving about him, and I wanted to go. The only thing is, in Cape Town at that time, as a yoga teacher, I was earning very little money, and I was really struggling financially, and I was like, this retreat was expensive, and I was like, what can I do to earn the money for this retreat? And it was a 9-day retreat. And I went, ding. So I became a stripper. So I decided to indulge myself in my base chakra and sacral chakra energy and exploit that energy and get dressed up in high heels and make the money to go on this tantric retreat. And I lasted 4 days in total. Okay, I had 2 experiences of working in that world, of working in that environment. And the first experience, I was very short, and the second experience was not much longer. And the reason I couldn't work in that environment for very long is because this is what I realized. Having come so far in my spiritual journey, having come so far over almost 2 decades of developing my gifts, my spiritual gifts, working as a stripper, one of the things you have to do is shut down. You have to shut your energy down to protect yourself. And very, very quickly, what I realized was I've come so far along the path that shutting myself down is not an option for me. I cannot, because I'm too aware of where I'm shutting down. And I could feel after one night as a stripper, I could feel in my body the places that were starting to energetically close down because of that environment. So I got in 4 days and I got out and I earned the money to go on this tantric retreat. And that's really, really that story. And in that experience, as I said, I exploited that base chakra, that sacral chakra energy. And a part of me enjoyed that experience as well. And I transmuted that energy into pure love and consciousness by using the money to go on a tantric retreat. It was like a exploration of the dark side again, and I went in, I jumped in, got what I needed, and jumped back into the light. It was a risk, and I took the risk, and it paid off, and it was really great. And I'd always wanted to try that. What is that? Just a little bit of cheeky in there. So.
Okay, love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Pleasure.
This is so cool because we talked about this before, and she said she's never shared that like publicly like this. Like there are people in her life that are close or kind of close to her that did not know that, and now it's out there.
Now you know.
Now you know. So I see there's a comment from Mac. Amazing story from Deva. Very inspiring indeed.
Thank you very much, Mac. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we still have 10 people watching, and it's so funny because every time I do a new live stream, about 1 to 3 new people join in and stay all the way. So last week I did this beautiful interview with my friend Tyler. Maybe you've watched it. If not, I highly recommend it. You've watched it.
It was amazing.
You were tearing up, you said?
Yeah, it was very moving.
So it's on my Facebook wall. You can just scroll down and you'll find it for sure. And there we had, I believe, 5 to 6 people that joined in along the whole ride. And then after that, I did one solo again because I also do these live streams alone. And now we're here, the third one I'm doing this week with 10 people watching consistently. So just for the record, I just want to invite all of you that are watching right now to think yourself for a moment, because you're spending your time with us here and you're learning about such an inspiring story that maybe light some sparks inside of your journey. Maybe it resonates with some parts of you in your life. And the investment that you do in yourself by watching something like this is sometimes so much bigger than you just believe in this exact moment. So, yeah, think yourself for a moment.
I would love to share about the Tantra.
Yes. So, about the healing tools.
I received, and so I can share that story with them so that they know that they can help.
Yes. Okay. So, this class is called Treating Depression and Anxiety with Yogic and Tantric Healing. And I chose that title because a lot of people out there struggle with those two things. Yet they are connected to so much more. Like the struggle of not being connected to yourself manifests in so many ways. And if you don't suffer from depression and anxiety, which I hardly believe because everybody does in some ways, this will still also be really valuable for you. So Deva just told me before she would like to share more about the Tantric healing. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to share because I want to continue to inspire everyone to know that no matter what we go through, we can come out of it and we can learn from it and we can grow from it, and that every experience that we have is an opportunity for us to heal and to go deeper inside of ourselves and to come out brighter at the end of the day. And I don't say that lightly, I say that with a lot of gravity and a lot of understanding that there are many difficult things that we all have to face, in our lives. And Jun was saying that he can't compare his story to mine, but I just don't believe that we can compare because everyone is made in such a unique way, and we all feel our pain, equally as deeply. So what I'd like to share is in this Tantric yoga Tantric healing retreat that I attended, I had been sexually abused as a young child, and I was still carrying, 35 years later, I was still carrying the energy of being a victim. Now, I'm not victim blaming. There's nothing wrong with being a victim per se. I mean, it's a part of the journey, and if something bad happens, then at that moment in time, you become a victim, and it's really important to honor that phase and honor that stage and to allow that energy to pass through. I really don't believe we should bypass that. However, for my particular story, I was subconsciously, I did not know, I was stuck in the victim role. And I became aware of that in this Tantric Healing retreat because we're really working with our sexual energy in this retreat and really transmuting a lot of negative imprints that had been received. And in one of these particular Tantric Healing sessions that I was receiving from my good friend, I realized that for me, and I'm only speaking for me, I'm not speaking for anyone else who's abused in any way, shape, or form. Everyone's journey is completely unique, and I absolutely respect and honor that. I can only speak into my experience. Okay? So I really respect your experience. And for my experience at that time, my intention was to move beyond the victim stage that was shadowing a lot of my life without me realizing. And what I achieved in that session was, without trying to, just really being open to it, I reached a space of realizing gratitude to my abuser for abusing me. And I know that might sound really radical. And again, I'm not here to impress anything. I'm just sharing my particular story. And the reason I reached a state of gratitude was because I saw in the universal play the reason that I had been abused was partly so I could be who I am today, so that I can sit here and hopefully inspire you. you know, as you inspire me, and to lead me and guide me into a specific area of sexual healing that I can share with others, and to transmute that energy. Because when I transmute that imprint of sexual abuse within me, I have the power to do that, and I've been shown that I support the planet in transmuting that energy of sexual abuse. And this is really important work on the planet, is to transmute the energy of the negative energy of that abuse. You know? And so I realized, and I reached a state of realizing the gift I was given by the universe to create who I am, with the healing abilities and powers and gifts that I have to share. And it was forged partly through that experience.
Thank you. Wow. I have a question regarding the victim role, because the victim role is such a common role that a lot of us are in, and yet we do not realize. I've been in that role. You've been in that role. Can you describe how that role shifted your life, or maybe created situations in your life that didn't feel good or healing?
So I'm just going to tune in to that question right now.
Do that.
Sitting in the victim role, I carried an energy of I deserve to be abused. Not knowing. This is what I was carrying, the shadow of I deserved to be abused. And that was the shadow energy that I was carrying. I'm a big believer in the truth, you know, of really facing these truths, you know, that we all carry something.
So basically, your victim role manifested in you are worthy of being abused. Like this is something that you're worthy of, and with worthy is a really beautiful word often, but in this case it was wow. Yeah.
And also what that carries as well as sitting in the victim role is I was then carrying the negative energy of the abuser forward, in the sense of I was still holding his energy. I hadn't let it go.
So you gave him more power energetically.
Gave that energy more power.
That energy more power. Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
And that was liberated through the experience of working with my sexual energy. I was liberated from that experience, realizing my own divinity through my sexual energy, realizing the gift the universe had given me so I could be who I am today. Shifted out of that place of the victim in that instant.
Wow. How do these practices, or these I don't even know, I want to call them tools, but it feels like they're beyond tools. So how does that look like in your daily life, that when you shift and transmute that sexual energy, and when you work with that, so that all of you can now understand a bit better, because it could be a bit confusing, because this is all very, very energetical talk, but how does that actually look like? So do you want to answer that question?
I'd love to. So I'm just going to take a deep breath for that.
I'm joining you. You can join as well. Deep inhale.
So it's really important for me when I approach you and when I speak to come from the truest place that I possibly can inside myself, to share what is meant to be shared. And the first thing that really supports me is grounding. And so every day or 6 days a week, I have a very strong physical asana yoga practice. I'm really dedicated to yoga. Okay, so physical yoga, breathing techniques, these are really important for the grounding aspect. Okay? So that we know ourselves, so that we're always it's an introspective practice, so that there's a sense of looking inside and seeing who am I, who I am, and that's a daily occurrence, not a once in a while thing, you know. So that is really important in that self-knowledge.
So daily yoga practice.
Very important.
Breathing practice.
Breathing, very important. So the physical, the breathing, the meditation aspect of yoga, these three things are really important for harmony and holistic wellness. This is really, it's of course there are other ways that one can do this, and that is a way that I really find keeps me grounded in my body and in tune with how I really feel. And I think this is really important when we're approaching depression and anxiety. Really honoring how I feel and knowing how I feel and not running away from how I feel, but working in it every day. It's like an alchemical process. So that would be the foundational building block for me of how to approach. And then from that space, moving into the tantric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, moving into the more esoteric, less tangible, energetic practices.
Okay. So the platform is built, just to wrap that up for you, from physical yoga practice. You said the word asana. Asana is another Sanskrit word that we talked about in the beginning and had explained. And it describes the physical postures in yoga. So if you see people doing like these downward dog poses, these crazy things where they're super flexible or they're not, you know, because yoga is not about the physical flexibility. And so the physical yoga practice, and then we have the breathing practice, which is called Pranayama in Sanskrit. And there are tons and tons of different kinds of breathing practices. There are calming ones and there are energizing ones. And then you said the meditation aspect of yoga. So these three build the platform for you that you're actually starting to tap into tantric healing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Do you want to tell us a little bit on, because I talk about meditation a lot, and a lot of the people that follow me are kind of like, yeah, I've heard of it and I've tried it, but I don't really know how the fuck do I meditate? Do you want to tell the people how they can meditate? Or how do you meditate? What shapes do you use?
Okay, so it's a really beautiful question because it can be such a woo-woo topic, and it might feel a little bit intimidating. And a lot of people say, I can't meditate. I don't know how to clear my mind. And that amazes me because you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. There are different ways. There are methods you can use. There's so much information, to be honest, on YouTube and Spotify. You can easily download a 10-minute guided meditation or visualization that would support you in getting into the meditative state. And as a beginner, I recommend that you try a short guided meditation because that gives your mind something to do. Another thing that you can do, which is great news, is you just sit comfortably. If you can sit with your legs crossed, do that. If that's not comfortable, just sit comfortably with a straight spine or in a chair like Jun's doing now and put your feet flat on the floor as long as your legs are long enough like his to get them flat on the floor, because if you're short like me, you might have a little issue depending on how tall the chair is. So if you're a shorty, start it on, get a short chair and just close your eyes. And if your mind wants to race around, let it. What are you going to do? It's like a kid. Let it exhaust itself. And at some point, it might exhaust itself, or it will, and you'll either fall asleep.
I love that.
Yeah. Or you might just go, I was sleeping there. Or you might find that you reach a beautiful space of peace and calmness. It might happen in your first try. Some people get beginner's luck and go, my God, I was meditating and it was amazing and I saw everything and it was amazing. And some people are like, oh, what was that? Nothing happened. But it's practice. It's a practice like anything else. The key is not to expect much, and it's not rocket science. Just chill, and if your mind for 10 minutes just jumps around, your mind jumps around. But you might be really surprised and happy to realize that 10 minutes of your mind jumping around is really like your mind emptying the bin. So classify it as that. Oh, my mind was empty in the bin. And then you might find that you find, as your daily life, just a bit more peace or a bit more clarity. And again, that might happen straight away, or it might take a little bit of practice. But don't think you need to buy anything. Don't think you need to buy anyone's course. Don't need to do shit. You just need you. And this is a big message. You just need you, really. And it's really not complicated at all.
I agree. It took me months though to tap into into that space of because like when I experience the space I aim for when I meditate, but I don't really aim for it, I just kind of wait for it, is when I catch myself for a second or two or three, not really thinking about anything. And I tell like my clients when I teach them about meditation and I have them integrate that into their lives, I tell them, look, if you just have 1 second during your 10-minute meditation where you're like, whoa, I was kind of gone. Magic. If it's just 1 second. And usually that 1 second feels really charging and energizing because it's just, you're tapping into something beyond everything. That's how I could explain it. But you gotta have that feeling because maybe for you it feels different. Maybe for you it just feels like, oh, I'm super relaxed right now. Really depends on you. Wow. So that's so beautiful that we just talked about those basics because I agree to them so much. And like yoga and meditation were those two keys that you've basically introduced me to. And I did have like yoga and meditation before I met Deva because it was always kind of like, I don't really get it. People were like, yeah, you have to like not think about anything, focus on your and now she's like she explained it to me similar back then, and like I had experiences with her after this yoga class, the first yoga class at Samadhi we did, and I was just like, oh, this makes so much sense now. This is just so much easier and accessible. Yeah. So now we covered like these basics. We covered physical asana practice, and yoga asana practice is so beautiful because it literally activates, engages, and relaxes in the end all parts of your body if you have a full-on practice. Because those poses, they don't only work your upper body and not your legs, they go through all the stuff if you have a profound yoga practice. If you don't, YouTube. There's, as you say, meditation resources on YouTube. Yoga practice resources on YouTube. People put out so high value free content on YouTube that you can just go and watch. So that would be a recommendation if you want to dive into this. Physical yoga practice. I feel like also physical practice of anything is really important, especially if you have a practice where most of all of your body is activated. So if yoga really doesn't suit you, go and find another physical practice that gets your body running, gets your body into movement, gets your body sweaty, and in the end, after that, into a nice relaxed state. Like maybe you go to the gym, and then afterwards, after 2 hours full body workout, well, that's pretty hardcore. I don't do that. But then your body is also in a similar state. So foundation, one physical exercise, try yoga because I love it, she loves it, it's really worth a shot. Breath work. YouTube offers a similar amount on resources on breath work. Just go and type it in, see what you can find. And there are different practices from yoga breathing techniques, pranayama. And then there's also Wim Hof, who's his family also into it, Marcel Hof, and they kind of come from a foundation of pranayama, but they practice it in different ways. So you can really find what suits for you and experiment with that. And then we have meditation, which was just beautifully explained. So now we have these three things that you call the basics. And then beyond that, after that, further on from that, you're talking about Tantric Healing. So basically the title we covered so far is Yogic Healing. And now I would like to talk a bit more about Tantric Healing. And I would ask you a bit if you can shape that a little bit in a way that people might understand it a bit better.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to try. Okay, so what I'd like to say about Tantric healing and the way that I approach it and the way that I have found beneficial to me on my journey of recovery from, let's say the bad things that happened in my life and depression and these things. Tantric healing for me is a profound way to drop into the truth of how you really feel and to really allow and be super present with everything about you. And this requires a great amount of self-inquiry and a great amount of willingness to be really honest with yourself about where you are, how you operate, and how you feel. Now, that may or may not sound easy to you. And what I'd like to say is the technique is, in my opinion, very simple and available to everyone who is willing to really go that deep with themselves. And the technique is one of really taking some space. Should I describe the scene? Mm-hmm. Taking some space where you have a private space where you will not be disturbed, and put on some really nice music that, not banging tunes, not like, but like really beautiful music that inspires you. Yeah, gentle music, yeah. And really close the door, close the curtains, and lie down and place your hands on yourself. In fact, if you'd like to do it now, wherever you are, if you could take a little moment, I'd like to share with you a very simple way to tap in. So, if you can place one hand, yes.
Hold on one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a thumbs up if you want to do that, and after that thumbs up,
then we do it.
Then we do it, right?
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, because this is like when someone offers this in a free class, this is really intense stuff that can let you experience something really beautiful. So yeah, I want you to be like, yes, I'm in for this, or I'll just observe. Both is okay.
Both is great. You don't, both is great. Whatever you feel.
So I saw that some thumbs came up, so that's good. All right. Go for it.
And just to reiterate what Jin says, if you don't want to participate, you just want to observe, that is a wonderful thing too. It's really important. The first step of Tantric healing is really listening to what your truth is. It's not about extending beyond your feeling of safety. Feeling safe is 100%. If you don't feel safe, what can you do? You can't go anywhere. You can't go deep, So observe or participate as you feel. The choice is always there for you. So make sure that you're comfortable. You can lie. If you can lie down, I would go for lying down because it's awesome. And place one hand on your womb or hara. So for the women, it's the womb, and for the men, we call it the hara. And place your other hand on your heart. And together, you're going to take 3 deep breaths, and you take a big inhalation. And as you exhale, allow any sound to release from your mouth, any breath. And the idea is literally let go of anything you need to let go of, any crap. And you can be as loud as you like or as quiet as you like. So, shall we? Breathing in.
We shall.
Mm-hmm. Breathing in. Last time. All right. So beautiful. So yes, it is also about not giving a damn, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do your crazy, mad, beautiful self. And keeping your hands where they are if you can. Take beautiful, big, deep breaths into your Wimhara, into your heart. And allow your breath to gently release through your mouth. And you let the mouth relax open, let your jaw relax, so and you allow any sound. And really allow yourself to tap into your physical body. Tap into your mental body. Tap into your emotional body. Drop into your sexual body, your sexual energy, your energy body, and allow whatever is true to be felt and acknowledged by you. There is nothing that you need to be. There is no one that you need to be. No one to impress. Just you. How do you feel in your body? How do you feel? What is your mind like? What is going on? And there's no judgment. Nothing to get right or wrong. How do you feel in your heart? And really acknowledge and honor. Is your sexual energy alive? Do you feel sexual or sensual? Or is it somewhere else right now? How does your energy feel? Relax your jaw, and as you acknowledge yourself in as many layers of your being as you can, using the basic principles of allowing your body to move around in any way it chooses. It may sway, rock, tremble, or roll. Allowing your breath to be deep in your body. Allowing any sound as you exhale, just surrender to your truth of who you are. What do you sound like? It's okay. Nothing to get right or wrong. Allowing your breath, your movement, your sound, and ultimately also your touch. Feel your hands on yourself in this state of presence. It's a gift to yourself. And you can stay in this space. When you practice it for real on your own, you can stay in this space for up to an hour, allowing your body to move, allowing your breath to breathe, you intuitively allowing your sound and allowing your hands to go anywhere. What if you held yourself right now? Put your hands all over and held yourself. And what if you even said the words and saying your name after it? And I'll say my name. What if you said the words, I love you, with your name at the end of that?
I love you, too.
I love you, Deva. And what if you even kiss yourself? And blessing yourself with your own energy, blessing yourself with your own love, and remembering that intuitive space, this intuitive space of self-healing and self-remembering is available to us at any time, in any place that we choose to drop in. And that is a gift that I just wanted to share with you right now. Yeah. So take a deep breath in. And when you're ready, come back to us. And if your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's so much more we can say.
Oh my God, there's so much more we can say. So since all of you are back now with us in the screen, and some of you participated in this beautiful, maybe confusing, maybe weird, maybe new experience, I invite you to not judge the experience. Just take it like it is. If it was weird, that's fine.
Great.
It was weird for me the first time. I was like, what the fuck? And now I have to like do a scream, and then I'm like, ah! And then my voice was weird because I never allowed it to express like that.
Yes.
I was like, I find my voice pretty... If you find your voice weird, that's okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
A lot of people do.
We're taught a lot of things.
Yeah. So that is tapping into the work of deconditioning.
Yes.
Because if you haven't heard this concept yet, then, well, here we go. We're all conditioned. We all grew up in circumstances. We experienced shitty places. We experienced beautiful places. Our parents taught us stuff. Our friends at school taught us stuff. Or older sister or younger sister or brothers or transgenders, whatever they are, they teach us stuff. And very often we build this belief system around what we grew up with. And this work that Deva is doing is really tapping into letting these layers of conditioning go, letting the layers of what we believe is our reality and where we believe our limits are, to let that shit go. Right? And I just want to emphasize one more time, if this felt weird for you, that is okay.
Sure.
And as said, it is a practice. So same like the foundations we talked about before, the physical yoga practice or any kind of physical exercise that suits you, the breathing and the meditation practice, this is also a practice. So depth comes with continuously doing that stuff, right? If you sing in the shower, it's also some kind of voicing, letting the voice out, and you do it in the shower because nobody hears you, which is great. You can do this in your room where nobody hears you. We sometimes do it in groups where a lot of people hear us, and then everybody does it, and it's okay.
And you love it.
And we love it. It's really fun. It's really, it feels empowering. It feels relieving for me. It feels like I'm allowing myself to just be crazy and be fun and be how I want to be. Right. So, I'm really curious for those that were participating in this, but also for those who just observed, sat back and were watching and listening. How was that for you? Was it weird? Was it new? Did you have an experience like that before? I would really love to know. So you can type that into the comments and I'll see it on this screen here. Yeah. And then whilst you're typing that into the comments, I just want to let Deva say something really beautiful about her work, which she told me very recently. And I believe that people like you, Deva, and people like me that have gone through these transformations and figured out a lot of individual ways to outgrow that stuff. It's the most beautiful gift that we can give to the world, to the people that are in these dark places right now and don't have a clue how to get out of there or how to grow away from those places and more into their dream lives and stuff like that. I believe the most beautiful gift that we can give is our presence and our full attention to someone, right? And so about a week ago, you introduced me to this beautiful thing that you've set up. And I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. And I would love to give you the possibility to tell those people about this beautiful thing that you've been working on. And yesterday actually already had your first discovery call of a human that was interested in this possibility. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. So I have a new body of work called Light Body Activation. And this light body activation is born of the experiences that I've had ever since I first began to transform or transmute my energy from darkness to light. And in this light body activation, I would say, container, it's a 12-week journey with me of one private session per week online. And in these little capsules of energy and these time frames, I draw on some major tools that I have honed along the way and share them with my clients. And these tools include Tantric yoga, sacred sensual dance, which is something I'm very passionate about, Tantric activation, and the cherry on the top for me is expansive self-pleasure. And there's so much to share with you about all of that. And over this 12-week journey, it's a journey of really diving into the truth, driving into the truth of the essence of who you are, diving into what is it that creates you, everything about you, no bypassing anything. There's nothing that is not welcome in that space. It's like, I want to know everything that you have to share and bring to the table, so that we can use and choose the tools that I have to share with you to the best of the ability to support you on your healing path and becoming more in your light body. And when I say in your light body, partly what I mean by that is transmuting the darkness into light, transmuting the shadow into light. And to do that, we need to go into it. We need to look at it. We need to be with it. We need to swim in it. We need to acknowledge it. We need to welcome it. We need to embrace it. We need to live with it. We need to be with it, and move through with it, move through it. And this is light body activation. And and you can book, if you choose, if it's something that speaks to you, a free discovery call with me anytime. Yeah. I wanted also to touch into light language, because I said I would.
Yeah.
So I want to fulfill my promise in case anyone remembers, because I hate it when someone says they're going to talk about something and then they don't. I always feel cheated, and I don't want to feel like that around me.
Before you talk about light language,
yes.
So I've written down everything that Deva just said that is a part of her new, how do you want to call it, journey?
It's a journey. It's an offering.
It's an offering.
It's an offering it's a 12-week journey. You go on a 12-week journey with Deva and the universe.
And the universe, because they're besties, the universe and Deva.
We are one.
You are one. Want to learn how to get one with the universe? She can guide you there.
I'll channel you there.
So one question I have, I wrote down all of that. I'm going to pop it into the comments in one moment. If people want to hop on a call with you, as she said before, she's doing these free discovery calls, which, by the way, I think is also a really beautiful gift. And we talked about that today real quick, that both of us do these free discovery calls for our journeys.
Yes.
And the thing in a free discovery call is not you only talk about like, how does the program look like? How much does it cost? Blah, 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 blah. You also get to experience like a part of how that program looks like. And you said also before that a one-on-one discovery call with you, which is for free, people already get a little taste of how this whole thing can look like.
Yes.
So I'm saying this because so often when people offer free discovery calls, and then those other people already believe, oh, then I'm going to get tied into something. And that is just not the case, especially not with us when we work in this field of feelings and emotions, because both of us don't like when we are hopping on a call with someone and then trying to like consistently be sold something that we maybe don't really want.
No. Yeah.
So that is not what we're doing. We're really offering something as an experience for you to tap into how we function, how we work, and to see if we feel each other. If you and that person yesterday that you had discovered, if you are actually able to create a space for her to grow and expand and experience all of that.
Yes. Yes.
So the question I have for you is, if somebody wants a discovery call, how do they contact you?
You can contact me via Messenger on Facebook. It's a really easy way to contact me. You can contact me in the Messenger. And in that discovery call, as Jun says, it is, I want to know about you. I'm not going to try and sell you my course or my journey, the 12 weeks. I want to know about you. And in that space, I will sit with you and channel what I feel the information is that you need to know. And if at the end of that call, that's all that happens, I'm super, super happy. I'm super happy. So please feel free to jump on and just have a chat with me, because that would be amazing, because that's inspiring and illuminating for me too.
So I just popped that into the comments that should show up in a moment. And what I wrote down is Deva's gift, a 12-week journey, one-on-one mentorship with Deva, weekly calls. And then I listed all the things that she just said before. And all the way at the bottom, it says, just send her a Facebook message, and then you guys will figure out the date for the call. So simple. So now you said that you wanted to talk about light language. And before you do that, I'm going to set the stage and illuminate our space, because it's getting a bit dark. I'm just going to turn on the lights. Talking about light language.
Light language.
Light
the
language.
Of the lights.
I'm not sure if this is...
I've got a light above my head. That's perfect for light language.
I love that. So you're illuminated with the lamp that is mirrored in the reflection of the window here. And now, since you're illuminated, you can start talking about light language.
So I did promise you earlier on in the conversation that I would explain to you what light code language is. Okay. So when I had that first experience on DMT and the ecstatic dance and shamanic energy poured into my body, from that moment on, I was also began to channel what you could call gobbledygook. All of a sudden, I was like, yo, I've really gone to crazy town now. And I was channeling. It was like what they say in the Bible, speaking in tongues. Now, over the past 20 odd years, there's so many people, it's everywhere now. It was nowhere then, trust me. No one knew about light language back then. If you Google light language now, there'll be a whole host of people speaking what looks like gobbledygook on YouTube. It's really, it can sound like that, but it's not that. But back then, when I started doing it, there was nothing. There was nothing going on. But now everyone's doing it. So you can Google light language, you can have a look at what it is. And what it is that I do is that I surrender to source energy, and I allow whatever is meant to be, allow my voice box to be used. And I just simply allow the expression of whatever moves through me. And that can sound like many other different languages apart from my native tongue, English. And the way that I perceive it is that underneath our human conditioning of speaking the language that we were taught at birth, whatever language that is, whatever culture you were born into, whatever language you learned as your mother tongue, the very fact that you had to learn it, to me, means that it's actually not the original language. Your original language is when you were lying on your back as a baby, getting your nappy changed or pooping your pants and going goo goo gaga, blah, 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 blah. That is much more close to the original language, in my opinion. Not that you need to do goo goo gaga. So light code language for me is what I would call universal code language, is a language that underlies the human conditioning. And a way to tune into that is, again, to relax and allow whatever comes out of you to come out. And that is something that we could discuss further in a discovery call. But I just wanted to touch into that and let you know that it's a way of channeling light frequencies through onto the planet. It's not meaningless. It's a way to channel light frequencies onto the planet. And there are many people on this planet who are capable of it. And I'm guessing that out of the people on this call, at least one of you is capable of light language. In fact, I would take a wild guess and say that all of you are capable of it if you just put your mind to it and relax into it. And the world needs us right now to be channeling light frequencies through. We need it, you need it, the whole planet needs it. It needs more people to channel light frequencies through our voices. So please feel free to give that a try. I hope that makes sense.
I hope so too.
A bit out there, but
it's a bit out there. So that's like the beautiful thing about when we have all of these different stories and experiences, and basically that turn into a form of expression that sometimes comes from within and sometimes it comes from somewhere else, right? And the light language he channels comes from the light or from the source, or whatever term you want to use for that, you can use, right?
And it's deeply healing, and it's felt with your body. It's not understood with your mind. It's frequency, so you feel it in your body. It's an energetic frequency that it hits you where it needs to hit you in your physical body, energy body, wherever it needs to hit you, it will hit you. And that's the healing frequency of it. You don't need to understand it. You just feel it, like you feel music. You don't need to understand it. You just feel it.
I had my first experience with channeling some sort of light language in the de-armoring retreat in the beginning of the year.
I believe that.
I was laying there, and at some point during some kind of emotional release, I started blabbering something that sounded really North European, Scandinavian, and it didn't make sense, but I just kept doing it, and at some point it was interesting and fun. It was kind of playful. And just kept happening. It was really funny. Yeah. So yeah, you said it. All of that stuff is to be explored if someone chooses to like really dig deep with you and go into that offering that you just proposed before. I just saw that Charlotte Fortune, I think that's a friend of yours.
Yay!
She just tuned in. Hey Charlotte,
Charlotte.
welcome.
Hi, sweetie.
So we're getting towards the end of our call because the light is getting dark and we're getting tired and hungry. But before we tune out, I also want to tell all of you that these live interviews of live videos that I'm doing 1 to 3 them every single week. And last week, I mentioned it before, I had one with Tyler, who also has a really inspiring story. You can check that out if you just go on my profile, and if you scroll a bit further down. Next Tuesday, I'm going to have one with another dear friend of mine that I will be announcing later tonight on Facebook. And yeah, it's just really interesting stuff and inspiring stuff. And I hope with that work, to reach all the people out there like you that just joined, like Aprita, you joined in, Jade, you experienced the tantric part or experience part. B, you also were in it. Mac, you joined. Dagan also said wonderful experience. Getting comfortable with my voice is always a challenge for me. It's great to stretch that way. Nice. And Angupado, yes, you're late. We're just ending the session. You can watch the replay later. So again, to say, because as she said before, you can just send her a message if you're interested into her whole thing. You can also send me a message if you're interested to work with me. I also have similar possibilities as you. I don't teach you to channel light language. I teach you to overcome depression and anxiety in many different forms and ways. And if you want to talk about that in depth and get closer with me and have me in your team, you can also send me a DM here on Facebook, or I can send you the link to my website, because I've set up a website which I have been working on a lot, and I love it because the color and everything is really beautiful. So I just popped in the link to my website. You can take a look at that, and then there's like a yellow button on my website which says book a free discovery call. You click on that button and then you get into Calendly app, which shows you all the dates and times that I'm available. So that's basically the easiest way to just book on a day and a time that you want.
Can I share something for you? Can I say something to them?
Yes, please.
Okay, so what I'd like to say, can I have your hand? I love Jim so much. He's so amazing. He's such a beautiful gift in my life, and I think that he's got a real talent. You've got such a talent for sharing magic with the world. So really, I really admire. Just keep following this guy because he's gonna be big, and that's what I really see, big time, for sure, for fucking sure. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'd love to share with everyone that the main essence of what I feel is important is remembering that your story is important in the sense of it guides us towards the truth. And whatever you're really feeling, the most important aspect is dropping into your truth, is really seeing where you need to be in that space of self-reflection and honesty with yourself, and embrace your story, embrace your life, embrace the shadow, embrace everything that you might feel that you're ashamed about. Don't think you're alone. Don't think you're the only one that's done terrible things, that's had shameful experiences, that have embarrassing stories. If I could tell you half my embarrassing stories, you would laugh your arse off and I would cry. But it's like, please don't think you're alone. And it's in this is the magic, and it's in this is the gift. It's in that is the transformation. That is not a hindrance or an obstacle to our greatness. That is the forges our greatness. Look at all these dark things that may have happened in your life, and look at them and say, wow, that's the transformation right there. That is the gift right there. It's in it. And the other thing I want to say is trust your dreams, and trust your insight, and trust your visions, and trust the magic. Believe in magic. Trust the magic of your life. Trust all the small things, you know. Trust your path, and especially trust that if there's people in your life that push against you and say you can't, or you know, whatever. Really, if there's people in your life that don't believe in you, I'm sorry to say, they have to go. Yeah, because you're the most important thing here. You're the most important thing in your journey of evolution. You're here for a reason at this time. You're here to be a light worker at this time. You're here to really channel forth something really fucking beautiful into the world. And really don't let anybody stand in your way. Really stay with the people who believe in you. Don't let anybody stand in your way. Believe in yourself 100%. You're here for big things. It's really important. We're all here at this time for really, really big things, for big work. Look at what's happening on the planet now.
Yeah.
We're here to do very, very, very special things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe in you.
I believe in you too.
I believe in us.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. And again, don't be ashamed to reach out. Like, there's so many people out there that seek and desire support. And I know, because I've been there. And I spent there for years, and I was stuck there for years. So don't be ashamed to reach out for support, because even if we're here and if we are guiding people, we're also having people guide us. She is a guide of mine. I have other coaches. I have mentors that support me. And yes, some of them I pay because they really create a shift in my life, and that's energetical exchange. So don't be scared of investing in yourself. If it's time, if it's money, if it's energy in whatever way, because everything is energy in whatever way. So yeah, thank you so much, Deva, for spending this time here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Reach out. Yeah, yay.
We're available. Just drop us a message. We're here. Shall we go for dinner?
Yes. Should we go to Ammo?
Yeah. Ammo is a sauna. We're hanging out a lot.
Oh, we love it.
Self-care, also a thing I teach my people. So do you, in so many different ways. Anyway, I would love, before we do that, I want to give all of you the space of 5 to maximum 10 minutes. Is that okay for you?
Yes.
To ask questions. If you do have any specific questions, either for me or for Deva or for both of us, you can pop them into the comments right now. We'll be hanging out with you here for a little longer. Yeah, so this is basically the invitation to get a little spark of free one-on-one coaching.
Sure.
Love it.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
So Max says, thank you. Thank you, June and Deva. Mac, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mac is that human that has been participating in 95% of all of my live streams, plus possibly all of my other content. So you are really consistent. You're really digging into the value that I'm creating out there and co-creating, like today with Deva. And this is the beautiful thing, because I just said before, I have coaches and I have mentors, and I said some of them I pay. And Mac is really consuming and digging in and being present with the stuff I put out there for free. And we had a one-on-one call about 2 months ago. Mac, I believe 2 months, 1.5 months ago. And you already got so much of that value through that. And I'm just in love with that. I'm also in love with the people that are like, I cannot pay cash. I don't want to pay, but I just want to grow. So I'm gonna be a part of all the stuff you put out there for free, and that is so welcome. Yeah. So there are no other questions that popped in so far. Max says yes, 2 months. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. Charlotte says, thank you. I'm with you in spirit till I'm back in Bali.
Oh, yay. Can't wait to see you, Charlotte.
I can't wait to meet you in person. So it's 6:30 p.m. here. We've done 1.5 hours. The intention was like 1 hour.
There's a lot to say.
It's just a lot to say, right? And there's so much more.
Oh my god.
We just kind of like scratched on the surface a little bit. But yeah, Dagan says, great job, you two.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, love.
Thank you for joining and sticking through and hanging out with us here. I know the two of you hang out a lot anyway, but me and you, we don't hang out that much. So now we did. I think I'm not gonna like put out the post of this event that I'm doing in 2 more days tonight. I'm just gonna chill with you, and I'll do that tomorrow morning. Yeah. You have a Facebook group, right? Is it still active, the Ecstatica?
Yeah.
Shall I put the link in there?
Yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah. So Deva has a Facebook group. Let me see if I can just find it real quick. Jade says, thank you so much. Blessings to you all.
Thank you, Jade.
Thank you so much. Jade is funny. She kind of popped up a couple of days ago in my social media surroundings, and then we've been chatting a bit and really connecting. You're awesome. I love you already. Woo. Nadira says, I really enjoyed the stories and how much vulnerability you both shared in this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadira. Love you.
So let's share that Facebook group, because that's also another possibility to be connected with you and your magical hurricane of beauty that you're spreading in the world.
I love that. Hurricane of beauty. Love that.
Ecstatica. Here we go. You have 520 members.
Ooh.
It's pretty big. Holy shit. Yeah, let me put that into the comments. So that's her group. I also have a Facebook group. I'll put that in the comments as well.
What's yours called?
Grow Beyond Depression and Anxiety with June.
I love it.
All about growing beyond. Jade says, oh, I love you, June. I love you too. In so many ways. You can't believe. No, this is so cool that we don't know each other in person and you've just hung out with us during the whole session. Like,
yeah.
I really appreciate that a lot.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Let me put that group in there. B sends 3 love hearts.
Thank you.
3 love hearts back for you. 2 more minutes for people to ask questions. 10 people are still watching. Whoa.
Come on, someone ask a question.
Yes, we want to ask questions. Oh my God, look at that. Dagan does promotion in the comments as well.
What did he say?
He says, for Bali locals, Deva teaches at Temple Bali. She has yoga, dancing, and other offerings every week. Yes, she does.
Actually, I forgot to plug my own studio. I actually have Dagan's right. I have a temple space in Bali. It's called Temple Bali, and we teach tantric practices, divine feminine practices, yoga, and dance. So yes, please look us up, Temple Bali on Instagram, Temple Bali on Facebook, and come to a yoga class, come to a tantric experience, come and meet me, and let's hang out and have fun. Yeah.
It's just around the corner. Like, her place is just next to,
it's right here.
this. I practiced yoga and danced in there this morning.
Thanks, Dagan. I completely forgot.
They have a really good
shit at marketing.
You would have told the people in your discovery call, of course. course.
Of course I would.
But that's really helpful. Thank you so much, Dagan.
Thanks, David.
That's cool when you have people in the live streams that you know personally and they know your work. I usually feel way more supported. Like when my friends participate in this, I feel so much more empowered because like my friends share their presence in something like this with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes they pop something into the comments like, hey, you've got a YouTube channel. Oh yeah, I do. I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Or hey, I've got a Facebook group. Yeah, I forgot to mention. Anyway, I shared your Instagram page and I shared your Facebook group that people can join as well.
Thank you.
11 eyes are popping in. That's interesting. Towards the end, you guys are getting more curious, but the content is over. What is happening?
You missed the good stuff.
You missed the juicy
You missed
stuff.
the juice.
Go back, watch the replay. So, okay.
Who's that? Who's that writing?
That is Jade. Jade says, Deva, I'm excited to connect further and check out your offerings. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Jade. You're awesome. You're awesome. Thank you for the love.
See these
all the love
hearts?
back here. Look at all these hearts. I love
Like
it.
hearts and hugs popping.
Love it. Thank you.
Okay, last minute.
Last minute. Last
Have
chance
questions.
to ask a question.
To help you out, if you don't know where to start with your questions, you can start with either, I want to know more about Tantra, something is not clear for me yet, meditation, yoga, breathing, what's happening
where
here.
is the temple?
Where is the temple? If you're on Bali, I'm not sure who is on Bali here. I don't think many are.
But
Nadira.
Nadira knows.
She knows. Of course she knows. The rest is, I believe, not on Bali. No, Max in the Philippines. Dagan is not here. Jade, where are you, Jade?
Where are you, Jade?
I think you told me, but my mind is sometimes a little bit like, I love it though. Where are you right now? Gosh, the frame is so nice.
I know.
It's so
I love
beautiful.
this. I love the setting.
It's so cozy. It's so beautiful. 20, 19, 18. Is somebody typing? If you do, type faster. Jade says North Carolina, USA.
Hey, Jade.
So you have morning early, I believe, right now. Huh?
Thank you for joining and thank you for staying the whole way through. It's such a blessing. Thank you. Such a pleasure.
Just to read to that. 9, 8, 7, 5, 4. I have to reach the button. 3, 2, 1. I need to watch the replay first. We'll ask in your inbox, says Uncle Pato. You go and do that. Enjoy all of it. And I'll read your inbox later. So thank you all again.
Bye.
Much love. Bye.